welcome back to Doctor Who, Season 2, Episode 1, New Earth. Once again, I am joined by somebody's favorite Florida man, my brother Caden.
It's good to be back.
That was joke 1 about you being in Florida now. I had that revelation like a month ago when we were getting ready to bed. I was like, Alex, I've realized something. I can't believe it took me this long to realize. You're a Florida man now.
I am. I was in Walmart the other day looking at everyone, and I was
wow.
like,
So
these are
exotic.
Florida men.
These are the They're Florida men in their natural habitat, a Walmart in the state of Florida.
It was weird.
But before we get too much into the extra stuff, because it has been 5 weeks since we did one of these, and 9 weeks since we did some Doctor Who consistently, what we're doing, you probably know what we're doing. We're doing basically recording an audio commentary track live. So here, let me get the time bar up. I can't stream the episode of Doctor Who, so we'll sync up. You know how this goes eventually. There'll be a countdown, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. On go, we all hit play. This is a problem for Doctor Who, though. It's season 1. Episode 1. I should really be explaining this better. Oh, wait, no, shoot. Caden, I told you to remind me. In fact, why didn't my alarm go off?
I thought you had an alarm.
I did, for 12 p.m., remind people about special, and it didn't go off. If you are following along with us at home, and you're using one of the bad streaming services, Amazon Prime, I feel the need to point out that the previous episode of Doctor Who was not The Parting of Ways, the Ninth Doctor's generation. It was the Christmas Invasion, because Doctor Who has Christmas specials that are separate from the seasons. They kind of get lumped in a lot of the time, but a lot of streaming services are dumb and will list the specials either entirely on their own or as basically a separate season of the show. And so some people, I'll be honest, I did this too, will go along a majority of Modern Who until something happens with one of the specials and they're like, hang on, I feel like I missed something. For me, it was Matt Smith suddenly has a new TARDIS, and I went, wait, this feels wrong. Like, what? I was halfway through an episode. I'm like, wait, why is the TARDIS different? I don't understand. And I had to look if I skipped one, and I found out there were like 10 random episodes of Doctor Who I missed. So yeah, look it up. It should be wherever you're watching it. But you know what's annoying is I think Amazon Prime does have the 3 specials early on that you would actually notice if they weren't there. They have the Christmas Invasion, which you would probably notice if it was missing. They have the David Tennant's Regeneration story and the Waters of Mars before it, which sets up the Regeneration story. They don't have the other 2 specials. So yeah, it was quite the day when I found out maybe 5 years ago that there was a David Tennant Doctor Who story I had never seen. Man, that's never gonna happen, right? That's amazing.
It's a gift. Christmas.
But yeah, you don't skip episodes. Just look up. It's not till season 7 or something that they actually start happening in the middle of the seasons. But just look up a list on Wikipedia of the episodes. But anyway, yeah. What I was saying before, I actually realized I'm not as confident in this, because if you remember in season 1, we had the whole spiel that we're watching the American versions, which are exactly the same as the UK versions. But if you're watching this live, I always have to say, if you're watching this live, it's the US version. Exactly the same, except it's 4% slower. And that is technically not true. The US broadcast versions, they sometimes cut scenes because the UK doesn't really have, the BBC doesn't really have commercials, so the episodes can be a bit longer and still fit within an hour. And the one episode I know particular is, I think The End of Time. No, Utopia, Sound of Drums, that's what it's called. Has a lot of cut scenes. And they are on my Blu-ray for that episode, which is what we watch these on. But this season comes from the same Blu-ray set as that one. So I'm pretty sure they are American speeds. They are still 4% faster. However, they are the UK versions at US speeds. What does this mean? You should buy physical media. That's what that means. I don't know, man. Look, one day, maybe in the future, in the description, there'll be a link to a version of this stream that's sped up 4%, or the other way around. That you came to the UK version and there's a link to the US. No one knows. I don't know. I wanted to talk about Doctor Who with someone, so I convinced Caden to do this.
Yeah.
You know how
You're gonna have to one of these days.
It's annoying. It's annoying.
It's gonna happen in the future.
I gotta take the stream. I gotta plop it into Premiere. I gotta do some math because it's not exactly 4% to say, okay, what exactly is the time I need to adjust this to? I need to do that. I need to let that render for like 15, 20 minutes. And then I gotta do that for every episode. And just every day I don't do it, it's just a little more annoying. If I could do it in batches. Oh, and then I gotta upload it. Which would, I mean, that's probably going to take like 10 minutes with my internet, but like if that. If I could do it in batches, no, someday I'm going to get someone to do it. Like,
that's the right way to do it, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, since we have done this with the Christmas Invasion, we've got some news, some Doctor Who news. The spin-off has been officially confirmed. The first spin-off since probably Sarah Jane Adventures. Or Torchwood. I don't know what was first. But yeah, the first spin-off in like 20 years. The War Between the Land and the Sea is a title so bad that the BBC should have been embarrassed if like someone discovered that as their working title, but was apparently it's the real one. It is literally more words than the number of episodes. It is a 5 episode miniseries centering around Unit and the Sea Devils, hence the titular Sea. It's a story that I don't know why it's not the Silurians, but we don't know too much about it. Written by Russell T Davies and the guy who a lot of people think are going to be the next showrunner. Doctor Who Kablam. Pete McTave. I don't know. The fact that I had to Google the writer of Kablam does not give me too much hope. No, he wrote Kablam and Praxis of the Chibnall era, which mean nothing to you. And
not a thing.
Probably made a lot of people go, oh. Who would say... No, okay, actually, I think a lot of people do like Kablam, and some people like Praxis, but... Anyway... We're not here to diss on Chibnall. I mean, he isn't even writing episodes yet. Is there anything else? God, I feel like we talked about a lot of stuff we wanted to bring up before the intro. Probably that American versions. We got War. Oh yeah, we might. We don't know if we're gonna cover the War Between the Land and the Sea.
Yeah.
I'll probably try. Like, I'll certainly watch the spin-off. I mean, it's only 5 episodes. But if it's not working, then I'll just stop. Kate, you're kind of in the same boat. Like, you'll wait for a trailer, and then I'll
see how it looks.
If you don't do it, I might just not do it.
Okay.
We could always actually just talk about it, like, now. Like, before the live stream. And it's only 5 episodes. At the end, we could maybe do a video. We'll figure it out. But yeah, I think it's been like 10 minutes. Yeah, 11 minutes. We can probably get going. So,
I can't wait. What's the name of this episode?
New Earth. Yeah, that was the other joke.
Florida's New Earth.
Yeah, no, I had a joke about the city where you live. I could do actually, it's the 15th so since the original. But then I would tell people the city that you live in. And I forgot to establish if that was okay beforehand, and now I've ruined the joke. So anyway.
Oh, see, it's too far gone now. Yeah.
Too far gone. Yeah, there are episodes in Florida. I just remembered.
Really?
Yeah, in with like Cape Canaveral, Florida. Huh. New Earth. It's, as I said, actually, this is an interesting one. I know, Pete. I was about to start and you stopped me. I've been listening to a lot of Big Finish which isn't. It never really helps the perception of the show episodes. I've been listening to Gallifrey and the Companion Chronicles, but last season, basically every episode started with like, "Oh, this is a good one," or it's something like, "This one was fine, but like only because it's in season 1." Season 1's a very strong season. This is the story where I was thinking about how I introduce a lot of these episodes, and basically all of them are going to be introduced like, this one's all right. This one's generally considered like all right. I mentioned before, season 2 is considered the weakest of the original Russell T Davies seasons. Don't get me wrong, it's not got nothing. I mean, it's the 10th Doctor and Rose. There's a reason that pairing is very popular amongst filthy casuals. No, I mean, there are a lot of people who don't like Rose amongst the fan base. I don't think the fan base, like dedicated fan base, is particularly like, oh yeah, Rose and 10, because we tend to be more we like the Doctor not really doing romance. It's kind of a bit boring and overdone, which to be fair is 10 and Rose is not the reason it's overdone. Like that was the first time it really happened. But yeah, I'm actually looking right now. I don't know if there's a single episode that the fan base would consider great, jumping over Love and Monsters, which is really kind of split down. There's the third that loves it, the third that hates it, and the third that's like, yeah, try some things. Yeah, pros, cons. But no, I think the Cybermen one's good. I think School Reunion's good. Well, I mean the fan base. Oh no, I'm sorry. The fan base loves the one with Satan in it. You got that one to look forward to.
You just reminded me of something that I don't think I told you.
Screw it. Let's do the end of episode discussion at the beginning.
Well, it's a quick thing. I forgot. I saw when I was in I went to the Museum of Pop Culture in Seattle a while ago.
I've been there.
Yeah, and I got to see the full Dalek and Cybermen props.
I recall that.
Those were cool. Those were really cool.
They were there when I was at UW too, so there might be a proper one. I think they were there. There was like a horror thing in the basement, but they still had the Dalek and the Cybermen.
I saw that one.
Yeah, so if you're ever in Seattle, those are probably there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's rare in America to really come across these sort of Doctor Who things. Whereas like in the UK, there's someone I listened to a podcast and they just lived next to David Tennant for a while. It was like a Doctor Who podcast, yeah.
That feels British.
They dropped that like 3 seasons into the review, and the other guy was like, I'm sorry, what? Like, how is this something that you have never mentioned to me, and like I did not know about you? So yeah, I was like getting my mail, and like David Tennant was there, and like every now and then I'd see him. I was like, what? Because
that's funny.
The whole country is the size of like California, so
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Anyway, it was a digression. I apologize.
No, you're fine. You're fine. No one watches this. You think anyone watches this?
No, but they will.
No, we can. They will one day. We can do a lot of rambling at the end. But yeah, let's get into New Earth. Do you like as well? By the way, yeah, no, I'm doing it now. At the end of Christmas Invasion, we were like, I was like, oh, we just want to keep watching more. I just want to keep going, and then you waited 5 weeks, like stringing me along. Yeah. Those poor people have been sitting at their desks for like 5 weeks because they don't leave. They just leave the live stream open, and they just wait for noon on Sundays and every day because they don't check if it's gonna happen. They go, oh,
it passes, like it doesn't pop up.
They're
excited today
for a bit. Oh yeah, they are. They are. They're like, oh, this is what I come for. No one actually watches that Doctor Who podcast I mentioned. They don't do it as Doctor Who anymore because they were like so tangential. They do like a bunch of random other stuff now. I don't know. I haven't watched it because they don't just do Doctor Who. But all right. By the way, if we had started the episode, we would be here. We'd be at chapter 6.
When you pull out that fun fact.
Yep. All right. As I said before, we're going to be doing a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 go countdown. On go, we're all going to hit play. If you get out of sync, it's the US UK version thing. I think Hulu used to have the cut down US versions, but they have since been updating those for a lot of the the UK versions, but I don't know if it's US speeds. Someone, if you ever, and I don't care if it's 5 years from now. Well, actually, it's 5 years from now. It's too late. But if you're watching this and you're watching this on a streaming service, please, by God, let us know. Let us know what streaming services have what versions. And before we start, one more fun fact about this season that does have something that distinguishes it. The number of missing episodes has since gone up, of all things. This is the only modern Doctor Who season to contain a missing episode. Because Whoa. Fear Her is no longer available for streaming on BBC iPlayer. I've just realized it's probably still in other countries. They're swapping out a voice of a guy who apparently did a big no-no. But everyone's kind of laughing. It's like, I just saw a Reddit comment who's like, I never thought I'd see the number of missing episodes go up, and that made me laugh. It's true, but we'll get to that later with Fear Her, and I'll tell you all to buy physical media. The complete David Tennant collection on Blu-ray is has been like $20 since forever, and is usually on sale. It's an extraordinary deal. It isn't even the complete collection. They don't have 14 anymore, so like it's probably on sale even more. It's like buy 20. You know, you can never have enough. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then go. That wasn't the countdown. I'm sorry if I scared you. On 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then go. 5. No, that was wrong. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. I synced that up with a little countdown on OBS, and for some reason I did it like randomly. This is New Earth, right?
Very ominous.
Is this? Oh, yeah, they just, like, blew up the Sycorax. That's right. He does have a reason to be upset. See, this is what happens when you wait 5 weeks. It was probably 6 months, like, for the people actually watching this.
This is what it's like to be anyone that... This is what it's like to be Mickey, you know?
What?
I mean, you go 5 months, but then for them, it's like it's been 2 minutes.
That's what it is. Oh, he's not happy. Oh, did they fix the windows this season? Remember I mentioned before, it used to be lit from the side, the top, and bottom all weirdly.
Keep my eyes peeled.
I don't think you ever noticed it. Yeah. By like 12 years. Oh, and they updated the music. This was something else we wanted to look for. Because I swear it's more, like, energetic. It doesn't feel as slow. So wait, maybe it's because I am at the UK speed. Ooh. Is that why?
No idea. I can't hear it.
You can't?
I can't hear the difference. I can't hear the difference.
Doctor...
It's all Doctor Who to me.
New Earth. There's, like, the... There's, like, that stuff. Runtime, 45 minutes, 44 minutes. This... I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't want to think about the UK speeds anymore. Phil Collinson. He writes good stuff, I think. Or he's like a sex offender. One of them.
Does David Tennant get his hand cut off twice?
No.
No?
Hang on, do we have subtitles?
I remember... Is that something else?
I will say, I don't know why, but I only noticed this recently. A lot of people complain the sound mixing in New Who is awful, and the music is often so loud that you can't hear the dialogue. And for the first time ever, I've started noticing it since, like, last week. It's really annoying.
Okay, I'm doing my little reading. Because I remember the Doctor getting his hand cut off, you know? And, of course, we see that in the last Christmas special. And then the pop figure that I gave you has the hand in the jar, of course. I went, wait a minute, that wasn't last episode.
The hand comes back. It's the same
Yeah,
hand,
I'm
but okay.
seeing this. Yeah.
Spoilers. Anyway,
I
you missed
remember
the
it.
exposition.
I did.
They got sad because the Earth blew up in season 1, so they made a new Earth.
Huh.
See, that was the intro joke, but well, technically, it's the 3rd to 11th Doctor since the original. It's a number. No one knows. It's a lot of news. It's at least 10. I'm actually kind of surprised they didn't do that joke, where it's like, I'm actually the 10th Doctor since the original, so it's new.
They weren't even sure how many it was at that point.
At this point, they were. Those poor hair people for this episode. There she is.
Man.
You remember Cassandra.
If only I could forget.
Oh my god. After this, I need to show you a Cassandra cosplay I saw.
Oh.
Yes. What is that? That looks like the inside of that Cardiff building. You know the one?
Really cool. I do not.
They'll visit it like 6 times this season, I'm sure. Cat people.
I remember the cat people.
My in-law's a cat person. You know the worst part is I stole that joke from a future episode. I do love this little weird piece of alien music. Like, I really like early season Murray Gold.
Mm. That's not a height. That's the wrong shape.
What?
The elevator.
The inside? It's like a
No,
fancy...
the exterior shot
was
clearly a square.
I was trying to figure out if I could split the music audio from the dialogue audio, because like someone didn't rip the subtitles. You know what? Next week, I'm just going to get the disc. I'm going to put the disc in my computer, because yes, I've got a Blu-ray drive in my computer. Because I guess this season is where Mary Gold decides you don't get to hear the dialogue. And we've got like 3 people talking over it. I wanna remember that dialogue. Like anytime you have to change like a baby diaper, I go back to my wife and go, "The human child is clean." The new doctor is materialistic, not my doctor. No, I've seen this in Willy Wonka. It's fine. I always found the idea of a Duke of Manhattan really weird as a kid, and I think at some point, like 10 years ago, I realized, like, oh yeah, the British actually, like, have dukes and stuff, don't they?
Manhattan will never have a duke.
Well, this is a new Manhattan. Like, it is supposed to be weird that, like, America has, like, feudal system, but it suddenly made a little more sense to me.
Yeah, it's funny.
Oh wait, we have met the face of Bo before, haven't we? That was last season.
Yeah.
This is actually an interesting one to introduce the new Doctor. He's lost his companion, doesn't really care, is obsessed about the shop. You know? The face of Bo is one of those weird characters I feel like everyone kind of likes, but it's like, I don't know why. He just got one of those faces, you know?
I like him.
He's cool. Cool concept.
I like the atmosphere of this episode.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's mostly the music so far. But I think the aliens in this early era were pretty good. You know, they're pretty diverse range of creatures.
Mm.
She looks so familiar.
I was just thinking that.
It might be just because she is the face of Cassandra, but I'll look it up. Cassandra, actress. Zoe Wanamaker.
We want to make her.
Well, Cassandra. Oh, she's in Harry Potter. What? That does sound right. Oh, she's the broom instructor from Harry Potter, the flight instructor.
Yeah, she
Trans
is.
rights, by the way. Whenever Cassandra shows up, we veer into swearing. This is a good way to show how Rose has grown since the start of season 1.
Yeah.
You know what, though? You have to respect Russell T. Davies. His growth is like a writer. That he has a character who is literally talking out of their ass. And, like, they don't have it make fart noises every now and then. See, season 1, Russell would have definitely done that.
I'm glad there's been change.
I don't know if there's a single fart joke this season.
But then that means there's regression by season 15.
Oh, there's regression, yes.
Okay.
No, don't get me wrong. There's a level of regression from Russell T. Davies. 14, by the way, for those watching when there actually is a season 15. Doctor Who with all this audio drama.
Just horrific cup design.
I have to look. Oh, that's like dentist cup.
Wait till you see his. Wait till you see this.
Okay.
Keep those eyes peeled.
Stupid standard definition. We'll have to go back 13 minutes in case we miss it. God, he's so young. I think you like the atmosphere because they do a lot of this like grand scale of eternity sort of stuff with Bo.
I do like me my Bo.
Yeah. God, what was I gonna say? Chip. God, no, what was I gonna say? I can't remember. Oh yeah, it's kind of funny how David Tennant used to be kind of praised for how he can put like 1,000 years of age on his face and a lot of acting as the Doctor, but now, especially after having coming back for like the 60th, every time I see these early episodes, I'm like, God, he's so young. Little baby face, baby Time Lord. He is! Thank you, Cassandra. God, he's a character who's like, oh, you can't be immortal, yada yada, but then he just goes and regenerates.
I was getting distracted by that. The sonic screwdriver in this song.
Oh, I'm like, it's not a Sonic in this song.
There was like 15 seconds ago.
But I was about to say, you better finish the sentence about what was distracting you in the scene where Rose appreciates her curves. Like, well, like, man, he is a bit dumb in this episode. And we say Space Babies was a mistake. I don't know why, but in the bottom right, I love the monitor that just has some big, massive T-posing man. It's like a scan.
I gotta see it.
Oh, he's standing in front of it. I also love this guy in the background who's straight from like a season 7 episode.
Terrifying.
Yeah, there's an episode about those guys later.
Oh.
I mean, it's probably just a red guy, but it reminds me of the Crimson Horror. Those are such good masks.
I like them.
Like, they get praised a lot, but those are exceptional. Mm-hmm. I'd love to actually see one in person, or like HD at least.
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
I'm really hoping someone needs a sip of water during this episode again, because we missed it now.
Oh, yeah, no, I remembered. 13 minutes, we'll go back. Gosh, she sounds familiar. That's not Haim. I want to know who that cat is. What about all the other pods? Where are the levers for those pods? I mean, that one was nowhere near the pod.
Didn't look like incineration either. Looked like electrocution.
It sounded like electrocution, yeah. Man, Russell T Davies is ruining my Doctor Who. Mark, it's not this thing from a future episode.
So I thought he was floating, but then in the background of the other shot, he was very clearly not floating and being supported. But now clearly he was floating.
You know, I think this might be unique, where this is an episode where they go to the future, and the Doctor's like, this technology is way too advanced, right? Like, usually it's the past or the present. I like that, though. It's kind of like, I don't know, I like it. The new Doctor is making out with his companion. This really is, like, when you analyze it, an awful start to the season. I really want to look after this how it was perceived. He looks so young. Is it just me? Like,
I don't know. I guess I'm just less familiar with old David Tennant. Yeah. It'll become that way, though.
I think he looks slightly different in his later seasons, but... And he's not wearing his glasses. Like, I've noticed this, too. Season, like, 3 and 4, David Tennant doesn't look young. That's a Dalek noise. That's Daleks going on the floor noise. Ruining my Doctor Who. Is that one of those hairdryer domes on the wall? You know, when you go to the salon?
Might be, yeah. I don't know what else it would be.
Where's that light coming from? I love this bit of acting from the Doctor here. No, like, genuinely, I do. It is a funny face, but... Some people do complain he kind of, like, overdoes I'm so sorry over his regeneration, but, I always like it about this incarnation. Fun fact, there's a difference between sterile and sterilizing. A very important difference. And I just do have to feel that every disease in the galaxy, at least one, has got to be airborne. It's like Mr. Burns, you know? All the diseases are fighting each other. Oh, here's about the part we started the episode, by the way. Like 2 minutes ago. Oh, it's already starting. He's already a bit, you know. I don't actually know if you do know. Maybe do you remember like the arc of this Doctor?
Not explicitly.
No. I try and keep a balance between spoilers and now. I like the cat in the background. Like, what is going on? It would have been kind of funny if he said like a totally different name from the future. Like, and then when they go to the end of the world, they could actually like have that guy there.
Convenient.
Well, I don't know.
No, it's the alarm wire.
Well, it's the anti-alarm wire. If you pull it, then it turns on the alarm, you know? I don't know. It's like they just got... You'd probably have this really hooked up. Like, if the room with all the diseases, if anything went wrong, you'd want to know about it.
Uh-huh.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, that's all there are in the universe?
Yep. Well, it is the future, you know.
Huh.
Yeah. You know, I don't think Doctor Who's actually done, like, a There's a Plague episode.
Really?
No. I mean, I guess you'd have to kind of do some work to make the TARDIS, not just fix it. It's like, there's a plague, let's just leave. But, like, there've been plagues, but, you know, not like a pandemic is actually the villain.
Hmm.
I want that episode. I want nuns with guns. Like, just, it'd be an awful episode. It'd be, like, pulled from 3 countries' censors, but just nuns, they have guns. Bam. Where's that Torchwood episode? Come on, nuns with guns. You made dinosaurs on a spaceship. You made space babies. Those are episodes with nothing more than the name. Come on. Space Babies would be better if it was a space station full of nuns with, like, heavy ornaments. So you remember how, Dot and Bubble, the plot, you know, it's a good episode, but the plot's just kind of like, you know, don't worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Russell T. Davies was always like that. You know, season 2, for anyone who's like, man, Russell T. Davies was so good, what happened? Season 2 is the perfect nothing happened, you just didn't notice episode, like, season. I mean, there are bits where I think he did kind of fall off, but this was always there. Like, wait, no, watch this scene. This is a good example. Look at that.
Oh.
Beautiful. Perfect example. Oh, I love the extras. I'd love to study all those extras, just how they
see what they're doing.
Fumble. There's one guy who was doing like a Thriller walk, you know? Like with the arms out and like real exaggerated. Was that like a deodorant stick they used as a microphone? I swear I've seen
The
that.
doctor was using it earlier.
The weird curvy shape. It looks like something you'd designed to rub over your body. Or like maybe an electric leg shaver. Look at that thing. You rub that on your legs. Like, that's what that thing is. It is also weird how, like, the 2 diseases we see kill you in, like, 5 minutes and, like, massively change how you look, but it's like, nah, warts. You get warts. It is kind of funny how the lifts are still designed all fancy-like, even though it's the back room.
Basement.
Poor Chip. It's because he's Irish, isn't it? Oh, I think this is news, but we also got the trailer for this year's Christmas special. I haven't seen it, but yeah, it's got some stuff in it. If you want to give that a Google.
Gave up on the fella a little quick.
Well, what was he gonna do? Like, there was like
I don't know.
He's still gonna try and do something, but he can't do anything in that situation. I feel he does that a fair amount, you know?
I think he does. I don't know. Something about that one.
I mean, it doesn't make it right necessarily, but...
Yeah. I don't think he could have done anything.
Yeah. Wow, he's really harsh in this one. I feel like he's supposed to take a while to get this harsh. Well, he does. That's what this one does. It's probably just that sowing the seeds. That's why we love David Tennant. All right, David, we got you as the doctor, your lifelong dream. This is why you became an actor. First off, you're going to be asleep for, like, the whole thing, okay? Second one, we're going to have you panicking because you're taken over by someone else. But the next episode, you get to be the doctor, but you have to do a Scottish accent. The one after that, though, that one you can be the doctor for real. Is Rose wearing bowling shoes? Oh no, it was the glove. No. I thought she had like white fancy shoes. Oh, it was this. Oh, here's another 10 out of 10 right here.
Oh.
Man, I forgot how great that scene was. Good. It was pointed out recently, Doctor Who's never been able to do falling well. Like, falling scenes. Good lord, what is that planet in the background? Next time they do a shot of the sky, look at the planet in the sky. Don't drop that. Surely he saw that, though, right? Like, he knows what they just did.
Kind of a funny. I like the dynamic.
I like how they turn it into this too. Just get rid of the music from this scene. It's perfect. That's right, I've become everything I hate. I've joined the Murray Gold is too bombastic crowd. In my old age. Look at the thumbnail, I'm on my 10th regeneration already. I love Rose's jazz hands, just wiggling all her fingers. Wait, it's cloudy now. You can't see the planet. He is very, like, I want to say commanding, but in a bad way in this episode. Like, he's super, yeah, I'm in charge and right because I'm me. And he's kind of right. Like, but do you kind of see what I'm getting at?
I think I see it, but I think I'm fine with it.
There's no niceness behind it, I think is the thing. Which he can do, which is interesting is like your first proper go with this doctor to write him like that. Especially this early on, because I think this is more what he becomes, not where he started. He's a fascinating one, though, because he kind of has, like, a bit of a shock near the end of his regeneration cycle that a lot of people go back and are like, oh, no, the hints were always there. Like, this aspect of his character was always there from the beginning. And, like, his arc is very planned.
New elevator shape. Different than it was before.
They're bigger on the inside. Oh, look, see, that is Cassandra, not Rose. Yeah, fair enough. So, no, I don't think he's explained his plan yet. We can critique it later. It is a Russell T. Davies story. The most highly criticized aspect is the ending. Of the plot specifically, not like the narrative emotional ending. So I don't know if you've worked it out yet, but the solution is to mix all the IVs together that were in that room. And then lightly sprinkle the people and have them touch the other people, and that cures them. Because as we all know, mixing medicines won't do anything to the individual medicines, and IV solutions are meant to just be lightly rubbed on the skin. That's why they're IVs.
I mean, tracks out.
Yeah, you know? But... in the same way that, like, I guess the social media platform could make a bunch of worms. Like, I guess. Russell, please change. Just a little bit, though. It's hardly the worst example of a plot. It's just a little... I understand this production block was also, like, really rushed. They almost considered swapping this with the next episode. Yeah. I mean, Doctor Who's production's always been kind of hell, because there's, like, one guy in charge of every decision that has to be made. But, Doctor, what about the other wards? Oh, who are those guys just hanging out in the lobby? Just this once, Rose. Everybody lives. See, look at that planet! Look at how big that thing is.
The tiny one or the big one? Oh,
the big one. Both of them, but... That's even worse than the black holes in a few episodes. We need his statement. Oh, did you see the Duke of Manhattan was on that screen? Look in the bottom right.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. He's also in the one behind it, actually. Wonder who voices Bo. Yes, Doctor, we need an arc for the next season. I wonder if he planned out what the secret was gonna be. I bet he had a decent idea. Spoilers, though. Could you go get, like, a new body? Maybe? Oh, you know what? I retract my previous joke. This isn't an episode where everybody lives. I mean, spoilers, but you know. No, it's actually funny. The Rose wasn't really in this episode, but the Doctor wasn't really in the last one. It takes 3 episodes to really get him. Oh, see, he can. He can build one. So earlier, when you said you couldn't help her... I do love this actor, too, doing Chip. I also really like the ending of this episode. As I said, the plot ending was like, yeah. But the emotional narrative ending, oh, they did fix the windows. That's good. I'm just gonna let this scene play out, I think. Although she always does remind me a little bit of River Song, being face blind and all. You remember that's Cassandra? You were watching the video we were talking over.
Yeah.
I mean, the Doctor in this episode, even though he's a little harsher than a lot of the rest of this season, he does still have that, like, kindness. You know, in the... He'll do this for the villain. But, oh, that was the direct end.
Is that not... Is there no paradox in that?
Not necessarily.
I don't know my paradoxes.
The Doctor knows what he's doing. That's the answer. No, I mean, he does. Like, it all... Because, like, Cassandra mentioned that the first time. Like, it's just Cassandra was always there. Whoops-a-daisies. To do that. It's fine. It's fine. I guess Cassandra did touch her future self, but it wasn't her body. And I think the only reason that was an issue in Father's Day was because time was already weakened. But we get a lot of, like, bootstrap paradox. Just wait till Moffat takes over. Like, you'll get you meet River Song, like, in 2 seasons. You remember her. Yeah. You can do this sort of thing. But no, I really like I like Cassandra's little arc. I think it's handled well. Because like when she goes into the person who's like really sick, and then she kind of actually sees, you know, for the first time, she like gets the look in her, she gets that in her mind.
Yeah.
And that sort of empathy, and the way it's acted at the end, the like human Cassandra is really good. Where like showing with her face how much like it actually affects her and like sticks with her. On top of actually knowing how much it sticks with her, because like that was probably billions of years ago, or well, I guess thousands. If the face of Bo can't be millions of years old, Doctor Who's kind of weird. Like they say they can't cure aging except when Doctor Who can, and like you can't be a million years old except when like species can. I mean, the Time Lords are legend. Like people, not everyone has heard of them, but I mean they did just wage a massive time war. Like anyone advanced enough knows who the Time Lords are. You know, the people who almost destroyed the universe are like time is weird, but at some point previously and now and in the future. As I said, I've been listening to Gallifrey Time War on Big Finish, and so that war, it's a confusing war.
Yeah.
What'd you think? New Earth, your first proper season 2 episode.
I did like it. But I did, I can feel that, like, I don't know, that could have been a mid-season episode.
I can feel that they haven't delivered your stuff yet to the new house because you're a little echoey and you're in an empty room right now with a computer, aren't you?
I am in an empty living room.
And I have your old sound dampening. Not in this room, but... No, yeah, I mean, that's why I said with season 2. A lot of it is like, yeah, it was fine. I don't know, maybe it's being unfair. Like, we'll really see. That's a fun thing about these watch-alongs, is properly getting to digest and review these stories. Like, I'm looking again. School Reunion is definitely a pros and cons. We can talk about that one later. I think the Cybermen one is pretty good from what I remember. That's coming up. Oh, well, Girl in the Fireplace. We've got, like, that's the kind of season 2 is. It's got the one Moffat story when he's not the showrunner that I'm not a huge fan of. Yeah, we talked about that one. It's it's heterosexual rogue. Or rogue is homosexual Girl in the Fireplace, but you know, timey-wimey. And yeah, it's got like all of the Russell T Davies stories that people are like, oh, that one. It's got Idiot's Lantern. It's got Love and Monsters. It's got Fear Her, which are like the one. Again, Love and Monsters is controversial, but it's got the like, oh, like yeah, that one. It is funny that Fear Her is the episode that is currently missing though, because it's like, well. It like we're angry about it, but it is Fear Her, so I'll be out here. I'll tell you that Love and Monsters, that's a big reveal, right? I'm keeping that one close to my chest. But Fear Her, I don't hate it. No, I'll just say it there. I don't hate it. It's a hated episode. Yeah, it's one of those where there's a child actor that's super prominent, and you know a lot of people just like hate child actors, basically as principal. And that's basically the main. It's very kind of fairy tale-y, but it's got a lot of good scenes too. It's got the council axe scene, you know. Your
council axe.
It is weird having these conversations where I see that no one's viewing it, and so you're the only one here, and they're not jokes for you. You don't get this context. You know what? I'm gonna say Fear Her is worth it for like the council guy. There's a scene with a council axe, and it's great. He's a guy who just talks about the council a lot.
The thing that makes the Doctor Who watch along so special is that they'll be time travelers when they watch them in the future.
Well,
and they're looking in on the past.
You're in the future right now, right? Because you're at
That's
like
true.
4 p.m. I'm at 1 p.m.
Oh, I am.
Yeah. What's the future like?
That is funny.
Yep.
Warm.
The future's warm. Okay. I need to finish watering the plants then. Our pumpkin leaves are real big now. A lot of them are. We've got a pumpkin that stalk is like 10, 12 feet long.
Oh man,
it's crazy.
Pumpkins.
It's grown out of its bed, but like it's on the far left of the bed, and it grew across the bed, and then just off the right side of the bed. We got pumpkins growing.
It's warm.
I don't know. We didn't. There's stuff we didn't. We never watched Invasion of the Dinosaurs. You'll have to.
Oh yeah,
we get that scheduled. Maybe let's just do it now. Let's pop in this 6-parter, Invasion of the Dinosaurs. I'll subscribe to BritBox. Like if we haven't watched it by the time they actually release that on Blu-ray, I'll get you for Invasion of the Dinosaurs. But next week we have Tooth and Claw. You actually have a decent chance of guessing what that one's about.
Teeth and claws.
Well, but like I was hoping for something a little more specific. Oh my god, episode 3 is called School Reunion, and it has literally just clicked with me that like school reunions are an actual thing, and it's a pun based off the concept of school reunions. And because the episode is a reunion at a school, but it's never clicked with me that like school reunions.
I'm glad I could be here for this moment.
No, I was just looking at the title. I'm like, it's like, oh wow. How have I never? Are there any other puns? And remember, anytime there's a pun, you can find in a Russell T. Davies episode. That's the answer. And I'm sure Russell T. Davies wrote School Reunion. He wouldn't have given that to someone else. Trying to see, what did he write this season? I don't know. He probably wrote Love and Monsters. Love and Monsters, you know how everything in the Ncuti Gatwa season was like really experimental? Love and Monsters is what if one of those experiments didn't quite land. That's the best way I can tease Love and Monsters. But like in such a way where, as I say, I want to say you pretty much either love it or hate it, but I think the fandom is kind of settled on a nuanced opinion. Nuance. Get out of here. Everything is either the best or worst Doctor Who episode ever. We know this.
Of course.
Yeah, we know this, yeah. Except the ones that are really the best and like really the worst.
Well,
yeah, then we get those are the ones where you go and like burn Chibnall's house down for. That's don't do that. Yeah, but that's how it works. What's the next episode I'm looking forward to? School Reunion is probably the next one, honestly. Girl in the Fireplace is going to be interesting. I think this is the first season you start to see me diverge from a lot of commonly held fan opinions. Okay. That's right, Love and Monsters tease. I'm diverging, but I've established that all sides are tied. So how am I diverging? Because like I don't hate this. I don't think anyone really hates this season. But like I don't hate Idiot's Lantern. I don't hate Fear Her. Love and Monsters again. Well, spoilers. Satan Pit annoys the hell out of me with its black hole science, and everyone loves that episode. The Girl in the Fireplace is meh. Don't at me. That's a warm opinion. That's not a hot take. That's a warm take. And yeah, there we go. Let's just move on to season. We watch Love and Monsters, then do season 3, and we'll have covered the whole thing.
Man, I'm excited for this. To form my opinions about this season.
Okay, Fear Her does annoy me, kind of like the black holes, right? Where they do a thing, Okay, they have the Doctor do a thing. But the episode takes place in like 2012. And in 2012, Matt Smith was the Doctor. So when this thing actually happens, they have Matt Smith do it. And that annoys me. I get it. He's the Doctor, but like, you couldn't have let David Tennant do that bit, or maybe do a bit of it. Like, come on, man. You could have. You wanted that continuity there. You just didn't. You didn't quite get it, you know? Yeah, that's that. There you go. But that doesn't ruin the. That's not the episode's fault. That's like that's the British government's fault, which I guess technically. Well, I guess technically all the episodes are the British government's fault, if you think about it, except that one scene from Church on Ruby Road that Disney suggested. That's not the British government's fault. Yep,
Disney's fault.
I mentioned that, the bit where the snowman fell on.
Yeah, for the introduction.
Disney was like, hey, like, we love it, but could we get a bit more Doctor? And Russell was like, you're right. And then he wrote that scene. And Disney is ruining our Doctor Who. They got to do everything they say. Yeah. I understand the argument that Disney provides the money, so, well, the BBC doesn't technically have to listen to them. If they don't listen to Disney and, like, never do, then Disney might just pull out because they're like, you're clearly not cooperating. I understand the argument, but, like, I think it's blown out too much to, like, well, now, first off, that they just are always listening, which isn't necessarily true. And, like, they had one piece of feedback for they had one feedback for the Christmas special that the head writer went, you know what, you're right, this is missing. Like, they're clearly not making nonsense or being like, hey, can you wear a Mickey Mouse shirt?
Yeah.
I would actually see a character wearing a Mickey Mouse shirt, and it's because Russell T Davies thought people would get annoyed on the internet. And actually, you know what I would love, and I could honestly see happening, like, is a likely scenario. Russell writes someone who's, like, wearing a Disney shirt, or maybe is, like, a Disney fan and wants to go to Disney World. And then Disney hands the note, hey, could you remove this? It's a little, like, on the nose, or we think people will complain. Oh my God, I hope that. And then that becomes public. That would be such a, like, in your face just to watch the community who's like, Disney's ruining Who. Just like, you know, it's the opposite where usually, oh God, I do have some news for you, Caden. Because it's the opposite of what Russell's doing. Because I had a realization, right? Russell T Davies, showrunner of, 9th and 10th Doctors, and 15th and 14th. He wrote everything but Boom and Rogue for 15. He is a non-problematic J.K. Rowling, right? Because J.K. Rowling, especially like kind of in the early days where we were realizing what she's like, she'd come out and say random stuff like wizards poop on the floor at Hogwarts. Yeah. And that's just what they do. The Dumbledore was gay like the whole time. And it's like, what are you doing? What wasn't in the story? Why? I mean, the Dumbledore's gay one's maybe a little weird. We're veering into some other things there. But, she'd just say, like, weird. It's like, what are you doing? Just please go away. And Russell T Davies is that, but without the, like, transphobia and, like, actually harmful. Although it is funny that the only homophobic line I can think of in Doctor Who is written by Russell T Davies. it's and, like, also the only time a trans person is, like, evil that I can think of is Cassandra, an episode that condemns her for her many body-altering surgeries, and poses her as the bad guy, and is, like, how she's not even human anymore because of the modifications to her body, which, like, I mean, there's a gap between being a sheet of skin and gender transition, but it's very when you start looking at those undertones. Oh, you can still see my screen, can't you?
Yeah.
Can I still find it? You know how there was a 6-month gap in Doctor Who in Space Babies? I found it. Cool. In Space Babies, there was right after Christmas, and then the next episode it's been like 6 months, or the Doctor's like, what time is it for you? And it's been June, and we talked about this a bit. I don't remember exactly what we said, but we were like, huh, and we thought like it might be what they're like. Ruby is acting like a companion who's known the Doctor for ages and is very comfortable with all these situations. She's up there with like Amy and Clara, who Amy was with the Doctor for like 20 years, and Clara has her own things that like she would know the Doctor really well. It was like, maybe that's why, you know? Speaking of timey-wimey, there's a gap in the Devil's Core that implies 6 months have passed since Ruby met the Doctor. This is an SFX, don't ask me what that stands for, interview where Russell T Davies' response. No, that's meant to be... That's complicated. I mean, I can see that no one in the audience would ever get this. I'm trying to explain how Sarah Jane is clearly from the 1970s, and yet in Pyramids of Mars, she says she's from the 1980s. So I'm trying to establish some sort of temporal drift as you go into the TARDIS. There's no 6-month gap there. No one else but a Doctor Who discourse would ever think 6 months has passed. Russell, stop, please, Russell. No. My wife got really angry at this because of the comment at the end where like no one else would think it's like, I'm sorry if we read too much into the fact that it was December. It is now June.
That's funny.
But you know that thing he says about Sarah Jane being from the 70s and then claiming she's from the 80s? That's true. That does happen. It's also part of a far, far, far larger continuity error called the unit dating controversy, where it is extraordinarily unclear if the third Doctor's era takes place in the 70s or the 80s. And so, like, this doesn't fix that problem. And, like, okay, so even... Okay, 6 months pass. There's a temporal drift. Well, no, there's a temporal drift in the TARDIS. Okay, fine. So one of two things. Either 6 months have actually... Like, Ruby has experienced 6 months just being in the TARDIS, which seems to be the only perspective that matters, and I would say 6 months have actually passed for Ruby. I don't know why this means they have to go to June instead of, like, December, unless we're saying literally all of history shifts forward, which has its own big background problems. Or the Doctor is out of character, pulling some insane technicality out of his ass. Ruby has understood it, accepted it, is rolling with it, reporting time as if it had been 6 months for her, and not giving the Doctor, like, an angry look, like, why are you insisting on this dumb technicality? And, like, she's not stuttering over it at all. This is Russell, I'm actually doing exactly what Russell wants here, because I think it's Russell saying nonsense to generate internet content, which sounds like a really bad faith argument that, you know, he just wants, like, people to get angry online, and that's why he's doing things. And that's exactly what I saw until I saw a clip of Russell T Davies in an interview, not just admitting, but volunteering the fact that he wrote Susan Twist's character and, like, a lot of those plot threads specifically to generate internet content, as he called it, and so that people would talk about it online, even though the plots don't go anywhere. A lot of them.
Yeah, it's messed
up. That's not why you write things, Russell. It doesn't go. You write good stuff and then people talk about it, Russell. You did this with you engineered the success of the 10th Doctor, Russell. Like, and he was like, yeah, no, it's good. I think people are enjoying it, talking about it. It's like, yeah, we were, Russell, until they didn't go anywhere. Russell, please. Russell, stop. Just find someone new and young and happy to write Doctor Who didn't write Kerblam. Like, anyone but that guy. Please. I'm actually gonna link it. It's a great video. I've referenced stuff from it a few times. You might even enjoy it, Caden. It's 4 hours, but you might even enjoy it. Who did it? It's someone who also has a they rank a video where they rank the Doctors that I quite enjoy. It's here you go. Is Doctor Who Stuck in a Time Loop by Verdana, it looks like. I'm linking it in the chat. Where there's a lot, it's interesting, there's a lot of points in this video I don't agree with, but the core argument I think is very good, and that's the end of that video is the one that has the interview clip where Russell's like, yeah, I wrote this for internet content. It's like, Russell, you're a good writer, Russell. You want to know the issue with season 14? Dang it, you got me doing it now. Is it don't get me wrong, like I enjoyed it. We gave it an 8, I think. Like all three of us who did that stream gave it an 8 overall. It's just, it was like the same as before. He weirdly doesn't seem to be any better as a writer, but he wasn't writing to his strengths. Like, the reason he was so good with 9 and 10 was his character work, particularly the companions. But, you know what? 9 and 10 also have very good arcs. It's just 10's arc is spread over 3 seasons. But he didn't write characters, really, this season. He wrote on unique scenarios. Like, he wrote Dot and Bubble, and he wrote these like subverting the Doctor Who themes. It really felt like a lot of people have said that the episodes since leaving the show that they thought of over like 10-15 years and went, if only, and then now they have their chance, and like God knows how long it's gonna last, so they're doing those episodes. And it's like it would have been fine. Like, Dot and Bubble was good, even though the plot doesn't make sense at all. I mean, don't get me wrong, it'd be better if the plot was sound. But, because the character work is so great in there. And I don't want to say he's not writing characters like Chibnall. Like, he does have characters, with drives and motivations, but they're just not the focused. And they're, like, Ruby's arc. We talk about this for the Christmas invasion? Ruby's arc that season, spoilers, was she doesn't know who her mom is, and she finds out. That's her arc. A Russell T Davies companion's arc was she doesn't know something and then she finds out. Not even like how it affects her. Not like how she deals with not knowing, that she just doesn't know something and then she finds out.
Yeah, you're reminding me about how much that was just brutal.
I was gonna save this for when we do the Christmas special. I realized, I think, if you remember, I didn't care so much. I like thematically what he was going for, and I like those scenes in isolation when like Ruby's meeting her mom and stuff. We will do spoilers for season 14. You can probably leave. I don't know. We're talking about this. We're done with New Earth. At what point do we just stop playing the episode at all? And do we just start talking about just talk? Yeah. But anyway, I'm like, I get that. And so I can kind of enjoy this. But I also understand if you're like, this is disappointing and like underwhelming. And then after that, I started interacting with the fan base, and it was like, God, they hate this. Like, the fan base is all like, I literally don't care about Doctor Who anymore. Like, they'll watch it. They're not like abandoning it, but like, why do I care about Miss Flood when this is what you've done for your your reveal, like your plot thread? Like, you dangled a plot thread, didn't lead most of it anywhere, and it doesn't help that most people don't realize why it was snowing, so they think that was also unanswered. But they go into all that, and then like you say actually it was nothing, and then you present another mystery box. It's like, why do they were like so angry, and I realized why I was so fine with it is a better word. If you remember, all throughout the season, you would like bring up mysteries of Ruby's mom, and I'm like, I don't really care, honestly. Like, it's someone, we'll find out. I don't care. It's just not the sort of thing I get invested in. I like consistently, Ruby's lineage was the least interesting thing of the entire season. And so I had like no investment in it. And so when we actually got to the reveal, I was like, fine. I didn't notice it was named Lucy Miller, one of the big Finnish Doctor Who companions. But that's why it didn't really bother me. And I wanted to voice that because I'm like, like, yeah, it was underwhelming. Don't get me wrong. But it was something I didn't care about was underwhelming. So I don't.
Yeah, I can.
It's like it's like hearing the Super Bowl match this year was kind of meh. I'm like, oh, that's unfortunate. Oh well. It was kind of meh, but the halftime show was actually really good, you know? That's the kind of vibe that I had for it. I was like, oh, you know what? I can appreciate a halftime show, but I don't care about the Super Bowl.
No, it killed me.
But I get why now. Will be interesting then if as we go into the next season, if I'm like really invested in the arc and you're like, nah.
Yeah, I can take it or leave it.
Okay, they filmed it together, right? The season 15 was filmed with season 14, so it's always a risk because you can't learn from season 14.
Yeah.
So theoretically, I guess Russell T Davies could have done the same thing, not learning, or even if like he could learn, he wouldn't care what other people say. He does seem to be leaning into like, well, haters gonna hate kind of thing, which is a whole nother topic. But again, I'd recommend that 4-hour video if you got 4 hours, or JXC's 5-hour Fall of Doctor Who. Just 9 hours. There you go. I've just done your day. You don't have anything in your house, Caden. You got 9 hours to kill. But God, I feel like he's just as a writer, he wouldn't subvert the expectations like that for 2 arcs in a row. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I guess there are some stirrings. I think I said before that he might be going for a 6th Doctor villain. Like, because it's his 6th season. We've talked about that before. Go watch our reviews of season 1 is what it's called currently. I might change it to say season 14 because that seems to be what people are settling on. With Ncuti Gatwa. But I don't know. I want more Doctor Who. You know what? We've talked ourselves back into better Doctor Who after New Earth. It's like I could do with the Christmas special. How long till Christmas? It's like 3 months. Yeah, let's go do that.
Timey-wimey.
August, September, October, November. It's like 4 months. We're not doing anything for Christmas, you know? And then who knows when the next season is. I think it's next. I don't know. Do we know? I don't think we know.
Good person. I don't. That's for sure.
Season 15 release date. It's much for it to say like 1980s. This is the AI, but expected to premiere May 25. MSN2, which it's expected, so we don't know. But because they were filmed together, and a while ago he gave like this is the % done of every episode. It's gonna be next year. Just because that's how long it takes to make Doctor Who. Then we'll probably get the spin-off 2026. I don't know if we'll get a season. We should get a Christmas special, but I don't know if we'll get a season 2026. Because they're filming 2 seasons, then they're taking a year off, which is good. I think we'll actually get more than 3 seasons of Ncuti Gatwa. Finally buck the trend since like the Tom Baker of no one getting more than 3 seasons. Patrick Troughton, why'd you set this precedent?
Patrick Troughton. It's a new name in
Second Doctor
Cinematic Universe.
Second Doctor. He is he's the favorite of like 5 or 6 doctors. He was Matt Smith's favorite, so there's a lot of number 2 and number 11. He's probably... He might be, like, the easiest for a modern audience to go back and watch, too. He's a great regeneration. The first Doctor, he's not, like, a totally different person than the Doctor, but there's a lot of the character that's not really there yet. And especially at the start, the first Doctor is just a very different character. Like in the first story, he was like he's prepared to beat a caveman to death with a rock. Honestly, I don't even remember why. The caveman is sleeping. I don't think he has to kill the caveman. He's just gonna do it. And he mellows out over his regeneration. But the second Doctor really kind of sets down most of what we would think of as the character of the Doctor. He's the one who has he's kind of often described as a cosmic hobo. Is the great one. Second Doctor. Here you go. I got some pictures of him. He's the grandfather of the guy that plays Neville, too. He is some sort of ancestor of the guy that plays Neville, who also wants to play the Doctor. But yeah, he's the one who's got that, like... we start introducing the alien aspects. Like, he's got this 500-year diary. It's when we establish that the Doctor isn't really... It's like we really start leaning into the Doctor not being human. I've just realized I have a transparent background. Oh, it's because I hit 2 on my keyboard. It's the regeneration that first establishes the Doctor's a Time Lord. But he's got that wisdom and that kind of drive to defeat evil hidden behind looking like a buffoon and acting like a clown. Like, you can see he's playing a recorder in most of these pictures.
Yeah.
Look at that stare. And so he introduces that aspect to the character. But also, very early on in his run, he picks up a companion named Jamie, who's like an 1800s Scottish Highlander. And that dude, he's with him for like the whole rest of the run. And that is perhaps the best companion pairing ever, is Jamie and the Doctor. So like that also helps kind of the slower, boring episodes, what otherwise would have been a drag for like Hartnell, the first Doctor. Watching them just helps elevate it. And it also helps that they kind of do start learning that 4 parts is the best number for a classic story. But we kind of veer. The first 4 Doctors are all actually fairly different. 2 and 3 are kind of similar, but like 3, don't get me wrong, he's still the Doctor. I love 3, but he's a very different era. You've seen some 3, you know.
Yeah.
Like he's working with the UN military. You know, he's doing that stuff. And of course Tom Baker is always rather unique. You know, he's very much a character. And then after Tom Baker, I think everyone kind of lives in his shadow a little bit. They still do different things, but like the Doctor as a character is very well established.
Yeah.
Probably in large part thanks to Tom. And of course, in the modern Doctor Who, we're kind of in David Tennant's shadow a bit. Yeah. But who, of course, was in the 4th Doctor's shadow. Like 10 and 11 are really... It's weird, because I want to call them the defaults for modern Who, but like 12, 13, and 15 are really the only ones who came after. 12 was very different. 13 was poorly written. But I guess superficially, yes, she was modeling 10 and 11. And Ncuti Gatwa hasn't really had enough of a go to say he's just like 10 and 11. So I feel like it's a false perspective just because 10 and 11 are so much of modern Who. And of course, we're throwing 9 out because he's before 10 and 11.
But he's the best.
But yeah, the 2nd Doctor is very well loved. Which is funny, because he was, like, nobody watched the show during his era. Everyone loved the 1st Doctor, and then this guy came who was so different, which is funny, because he's now, like, what the Doctor is, that a lot of people fell off. I think it's, like, the worst ratings of the show until Ncuti Gatwa. And of course, Ncuti Gatwa has bad ratings because by the time his episodes come out on the BBC, you've been able to watch them on iPlayer for 24 hours. And like the 60 years since then, TV just gets viewed less. But since then, people have gone back and loved him. And it's a shame that like they just decided, yeah, let's burn those episodes. Not season 4, his first season, has the distinction of being the only season of Doctor Who where not a single story is fully surviving, because they're all multiple parts. So we have episodes, and then we have stories, which are like, you know, the collection of episodes make up the story, and then we have a few stories per season. Not a single story from season 4 survives.
For some reason, I thought you were about to get hopeful. Like, he's the only one with all of them there.
No.
Cool.
In fact, I don't think there is a season where all of them are there. For the first 6, sorry. Once we get to the 3rd Doctor, technically some of the original colors are missing. You'll notice an Invasion of the Dinosaurs, but we've done magic to get them back. Like, did you know you can retrieve color information from a black and white recording?
Yeah.
Oh, well, did I tell you that?
I don't think so.
Yeah, no,
But I
there's
knew
like
this.
wizardry.
Yeah.
I can't remember if we discovered that because of Doctor Who, but like, yeah, we do some wizardry to get the color back. But yeah, season 1's missing Marco Polo. Season 2 is missing the Crusade. You can see I've got a document here. Season 3 is missing like a lot, and it's missing more than what you're seeing, Caden, because these two were animated. Season 4, it's not missing everything, but they are missing, you know, at least one episode per story. But yeah, season 5 is fully missing one thing, season 6. But right now, as I'm speaking, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 missing episodes that have not been animated. And so it's a lot easier, especially with the second Doctor, who's only missing 3 stories, to go through and at least watch something. Which you'll see when we go and do the watch-alongs for Classic Doctor Who on my channel. You're doing them, I've decided. We'll we'll see that, because back when I went through, there were maybe like 10 Doctor Who, like second Doctor stories existing.
Yeah.
Which is probably why I don't think much of any of his companions besides Jamie. But now that I've gone through, I'm really looking forward to watching that in order, because every companion, like, they've got some episodes back, and I'm like, oh, they're actually a character. Because very often you're missing the first and last appearance of a companion.
Horrible.
So they just kind of like are there and then they're gone, and you don't know anything about this character. If you remove the animated ones, you'll miss entire companions.
That's awful.
Even now, there's a Sarah Kingdom who's just in like this Dalek master plan. You'll never see. I don't know. I've never seen this woman. But yeah, it's a. Well, you should look in Florida. I'm sure that if there are any 1960s videotapes in Florida, they'll have definitely survived the humid, hot environment for 60 years.
Yeah, they're sturdy enough.
Yeah, you know. We're actually kind of at the point now where it's very unlikely that even if we found episodes, they'd actually be like usable. Unless a collector has had them and just doesn't know what they are, or they have them, know what they are, and say screw you. Which there are like 4. There's a few. I want to say 4 episodes or stories that we know the BBC know collectors have, but are just like, nah, it's mine. We know some exist as well. We know the last story of the Web of Fear exists because we found all 6 episodes. The guy like took a picture and is like, great, I found them, like somewhere in Africa, I think. He's like, cool, you're gonna ship them up to the BBC? Yeah. And they took a picture. He's like, yeah, we found them. And then he gets them at the BBC and there's only 5. It's like, where's number 4? I think it is. And we don't know. Somewhere between then and getting to the BBC, someone stole it or lost it, so we don't know. But that one, I mean, unless they burned it then and there for some reason, that one's which is unfortunate, because that means we have the Web of Fear animated. It's one of the 2 people don't like. Imagine like a bad PS1 cutscene. And also, because it's only 1 episode, it's only 20 minutes of animation, so it's not even enough to get used to it. So
funny.
Yeah, there's I could talk about these a lot, but unfortunately it is the first 2 though, because it makes it that much harder to get into Classic Who. Yeah, you know, you'll watch the first 3 stories. Maybe there's not really like one that you really loved. I mean, for me, it wasn't till story 5 that was the first one I actually thoroughly enjoyed the whole way through and felt it was well paced. Don't get me wrong, number 2, the Daleks, is good, but everyone will tell you could trim like 2 episodes at least. And you know what the worst part is? You see Marco Polo here.
Yeah.
This is one of the best ones of like the first Doctor. Because here's the thing: how do we know that all the audio survives? Even by episode 4, there were fans dedicated enough that they basically like invented the VCR, or like weird ways to hook up to record the audio. And there are 3 people who have done this. 2 people who had done it since like Marco Polo, and they've since given their recordings to the BBC, who have done the best to clean it up, like basically sitting with a microphone in front of their TV on like tape recorders, and that's how you can hear them. And for the animations, they just like animate over that. It is great that we have that for literally everyone. There's not a single episode of Doctor Who you can't experience in any way unless you're British and it's Fear Her, which is funny. I mean, you could do it if you bought the physical media, which I hope you've learned to do. But yeah, it is will I be watching the missing episodes on our watch-alongs? I don't know. Because honestly, by season 3, I'm kind of ready for Doctor number 2. It'll be there's some like Reign of Terror. You know what the worst thing of the missing stories are? Is that you get to some episodes. I was gonna say like Reign of Terror. That one actually is missing. But like the Web Planet, and it's like, this one survived? Like, I'd trade like half of the stories for Marco Polo any day.
It's funny.
It was like, God, that one. Here's a fun fact: the 10th planet, the first Doctor's last story, the last part is missing, meaning the story with the first regeneration is missing. However, the regeneration itself is not missing.
Oh, that's good.
I think because it's in like the next story too. I don't remember the reason actually. Because the next story is also missing, I think, in its entirety. So the second Doctor's first story is just totally missing, which is a shame because by all accounts it's a banger. I've watched it like 15 years ago, and maybe not that long, but there's a lot I want to get back to that I'm like, I don't remember this one in particular, so is it actually that good?
Yeah.
Or am I just kind of fine with it? You'd love it too. Do you know? Because first regeneration. This is like a revolutionary concept.
Yeah, big
one
moment.
Doctor to another. So they it's probably got to be real interesting to watch how they explain it, right? And like, how does the 60s say what's happened? Because they do try and explain it, right? Right? They don't just let it happen. That'd be weird. Right? Oh no.
Making it sound like it
Oh
happened.
No, they don't. There's like, the Doctor is like, this old body of mine is wearing a bit thin. He leaves the episode to go like die or something. The companions find him, and he regenerates, although I think it's not called that yet. It doesn't get that name till the 4th Doctor. It doesn't get named until the 4th Doctor. It was kind of considered a renewal. It's almost implied that the Doctor got younger rather than like became a different person. It's just like, that's what the Doctor looked like when he was young.
Yeah.
Even though his personality totally changes. But one of the companions is like, well, that must be the Doctor. It's like, he said his body was getting thin. And I was just like, what? So he got himself a new one? Like, that's crazy. And that's like all the discussion. The Doctor doesn't want to talk about it. He just wants to like play the recorder. They just don't bother. The second to third Doctor, it's kind of, I'll dance around spoilers, but Time Lords are basically like, it's time for you to change your face again. And then he does. It's just like, yeah, we know this happened, but like, we're not going to explain it. Third to 4th Doctor, I honestly don't remember. The Brigadier's just there, and he's like, well, here we go again. It's like, I don't actually think Tom Baker tries to explain it. I think it's an entirely separate episode where they explain it, they name it as regeneration, and they say the Doctor Time Lord can only do it 13 times. It's like, man, Nothing.
They were still figuring it out, you know?
It's the 60s. You've got like 4 parts too many for every story, and it's all dialogue. Like, you really could. It's like people say that, you know, I think people are hard on new audiences and being like, people are just going to get confused and leave. But man, if Doctor Who survived that explanation, I think they can survive anything.
They'll do fine.
You know? They'll just be like, yeah, screw it. I mean, to be fair, as I said, like, no one liked 2 at the time. It's, yeah, but, you know. Somehow they got him back. How did they get him back? I don't know. It just kind of got better in season 3. I don't really. They totally changed it up. It was in color. It was like Quatermass, another show at the time. The Third Doctor's weird. They're like, okay, so this show's expensive. You got to build these elaborate sets and like aliens and stuff and like all that. Like a new one every month. You're not being viewed by a lot. Like, this is massively expensive. What if the Doctor now is on Earth and he works with the military? It's basically like Quatermass. You've seen Quatermass. What if we do that? But it somehow works.
It worked, yeah.
It somehow is a great. I want another Third Doctor era. Not necessarily stranded on Earth, but like, just so. It's like, it's not like anything else on the show. It's history. It's like, give me something new, Doctor Who. Give me something that's just like out there, and then I can like complain about it on YouTube. No, it's like, but that's the thing. Take a risk.
Yeah.
But don't let Chibnall do it. Just get a good writer to take a risk. That's unfair. New Who has taken risks. I mean, we destroyed Gallifrey. Season 1 is probably like the biggest risk we've ever taken. You know, the 9th Doctor, season 1.
Yeah.
I mean, there have been risks. It's just that Chibnall was the first time it didn't work out. I don't know. I feel like we're too safe because that 4-hour video is so interesting. But there's a bit where he makes the point. Doctor Who's been on the air for 19 years now. Season 1 of Doctor Who is not the same as season 19, the 5th Doctor's first one. It's just not the same show, like, at all. And there are 3 other shows in between those 2 seasons. You got the 3rd Doctor. You've got, like, there's, like, 3 distinct eras during the 4th Doctor. There's, like, so many shows between that. But, like, the season 1 of Doctor Who New Who is basically the same as season 14. Like, the quality fluctuates. I'm sure everyone will agree on that. But it's fundamentally, like, basically the same show across all 3 guys who have been running it. And, like, every Doctor is the same show. To the point where now you have people talking about Ncuti Gatwa season. It's like, yeah, the plots didn't make sense. And, like, you know, there's this camp, like, the effects have never been aren't good, but like Doctor Who's always been like that, and kind of like resigned to the fact that this is how it's always been. It's like, this is Doctor Who, the show that is like made change a fundamental and core part of its program, that frequently changes hell even genres and setting, and like will alter not only its entire cast but its entire production crew on a regular basis. What do you mean it's always been like this? Like, this show is supposed to have changed. And that's basically what the video's about. It's not like ranty or anything, but it's like, this is a show that is supposed to change constantly, but has been the same for 19 years now, to the point where even like the same guy has come back to write it and is writing the same things. Even to the point where, like, you know, the thing with 14 I brought up is Doctor Who's 60 years old, right?
Yeah.
If you really want to, basically every episode you could probably look in the show's past and be like, I kind of like that one, you know? It's kind of like, but there's always a degree of like, you know, you make it different enough, or if you really boil it down and simplify, yes, it's the same episode, but there are a lot of these subtle differences that, you know, actually make it something unique. Or we're basically retelling a story, but that story is 40 years old now, so let's see what we can do with it now. You know,
Yeah.
like there's elements that you can do, but a fair amount, not the plots, except for Rogue. Rogue is just girl in the fireplace. Don't at me. Like, the plots are very unique scenarios, you know, but there's a lot that just felt repeated, like even down to in Space Babies we have basically the same setup on a space station, looking out the same sort of room with the same sort of window that Nine and Rose did, where you have the same scene there. The Doctor explains some Stardust stuff and then has gives the companion a special phone to call home, where they then reuse the same joke about how much it cost. And it's like, well, that's not the only example I could give. And there's just... I guess there's the example. Space Babies is kind of like dinosaurs on a spaceship. Weird thing, on a space thing, doesn't belong. That's the episode. But, you know, like, dinosaurs, babies, those are different things. I don't know if... You're about this age now where I feel I should tell you that dinosaurs and babies are different. You know, and that's okay.
No.
No. I know the kids' room we're working on in my house has got some dinosaur pictures, and it's for babies. But they're not the same thing. Oh. You know, and I like they're like, you know, that's the okay level. You know, they're kind of the same, but it's different. It's dinosaurs and babies. Dinosaurs can talk. Dinosaurs can't talk. Babies can talk in this weird sci-fi. You know, they did different things with those episodes. You'll just have to take me on faith there, because you haven't seen... Oh, no, that was the one you might have given up on.
Like the one I basically stopped on, yeah.
Dinosaurs on a Spaceship was so mid, you gave up. I think we established that's not actually true, but it was hilarious to think. Wait, no, I think it was... Maybe you did, because it was the
Dalek. The next one that I stopped on,
it was Asylum of the Daleks that you didn't do. Do you remember the episode where... Season 7, I think. Yeah, Season 7. Hang on, I've got 20 terabytes on this computer. It's got to think about this one. That's not a joke. That was actually an underestimate.
Oh, gosh.
God, there we go. Where did chat go? Rings of Akatan, Power of 3, died. Do you remember the Western one where there's like they're in a cowboy? Screw it. Here it is. You remember this one? It's got like cowboy cyborg. You got this. It's all sepia tones.
No.
No? There you go. You did. Dinosaurs on a Spaceship was so mid that you gave up on Doctor Who. But yeah, it's like there was a lot that I'm not going to remember all of it, but it's just like, I've kind of done this. And even the guy pointed out in that video, kind of, it almost feels like the current writers have got through every plot they want to do. Yeah. Like, every episode is basically Doctor shows up at a place, like, you know, there's a revolution or a war or a riot, whatever, sort it, leave. And yes, season 14 did have like subversions of the trope. Like Dot and Bubble was weird. The Doctor wasn't technically there. 73 yards is just straight up a different thing, sure. Well, no, it's not, because it's also basically the turn left, like slightly different. That's basically the line, because it is basically turn left, which Russell T Davies also wrote. Where it's essentially the Doctor dies and the companion has to like do something about that's the plot. God, I don't have this Blu-ray, so I can't just look at the episodes. But they ran off a bunch of like bizarre ideas. It's like just off the top of their head, like 5 totally out there. What about an episode that's just like shot and filmed as if it was a classic episode? So like it had the an 80s episode. It had the square thing. It was like kind of paced, kind of told the same sorts of characters, which Russell T Davies can do, because he did something like that in another show he wrote where he made it like it was an 80s thing or even a 60s thing. Just film it in black and white, like kind of lower the quality. There have been Star Trek has something like this where in one of the 80s shows they go back in time to a 60s episode and they insert the cast into like the actual 60s footage. It's really well done. It's a fantastic one. Or like, where's the last? No, where's the last really weird idea we had? Again, okay, it's a little hard for you, Caden, because you don't know 12, 13. But like, even season 14, which I'm praising for like its weird ideas. Like, is Dot and Bubble really that far out there?
I wouldn't say Dot and Bubble is.
73 yards is it would be 73 yards if we didn't have turn left, which it's written by the same guy. Look, I'm not going to let that one slide. God. List of Doctor Whoever. Boom was great. It was like unique for Doctor Who, but I mean, a guy on a mine, that's not like, when we're talking Doctor Who, you can do weirder than a guy on a landmine.
Yeah.
Sorry. There's not. I actually want to answer this. Oh, you know what? It was Wild Blue Yonder, at the 60th. But before that, I'll probably give Wild Blue Yonder that. Universe at Stakes. That's what Flux was. Not 13. Feel free to entertain that. Talk about like sunflower seeds again or something.
Oh man, I haven't had a sunflower seed since that day. I think it was going to be good for the road, but corn nuts turned out to be the go-to.
Twice Upon a Time is interesting, but it's a multi-doctor story, which we've done. This is 1984, like the Monk trilogy. Like it's Heaven Sent, which was season 9 in 9 years ago. Okay, I didn't watch Heaven Sent the year it came out, but I was pretty darn close. I was almost catching up there. Not 9 years ago. It's been almost a decade since like a truly special episode. And what was it before Heaven Sent? I don't know. We probably have to go back to like 11 or 10. It's not Kill the Moon. Go away. Time Heist is literally, I'm not counting Day of the Doctor. Multi-Doctor, we've done that. Journey to the Center of the TARDIS, which isn't even really that good. That's an episode where they go in the TARDIS. But I mean, we'd also done that before. And what? The Doctor's Wife? Power of 3. Oh, Chibnall, are you going to get a win here? You know what? Power of 3 might be interesting. But that's 2012. That was 3 years before Evans. I mean, I guess you're not going to have these, like, truly unique episodes. Bam, bam, bam. But, like, come on. We need... I don't know. Give me... Actually, you know what? I critique it. There's... Like, there's a Sleep No More. It's a found footage episode. It's not a good one. But at least it's, like... really different, it's out there for Doctor Who. It's like the goal, maybe this is a little too far exaggerated because people do critique season 14 for this, but it's almost like every episode should feel like it came from a different show. Should almost be the goal. You're probably not going to hit that, but you're going to get variety. And even, like, there should be consistency. The characters should go through consistent things. But let's pull season 7 up again. You have Narnia, but it's the Doctor. Then you have an alien sci-fi planet where you have to go to the, asylum of space Nazis. Then you have dinosaurs on a spaceship, self-explanatory. Yeah. Then you have a Western. Then you have... the world is being invaded by cubes that don't do anything for a year. Then you have Weeping Angels in New York. Then you have it's Victorian time and, like, snowmen are evil. Then you have evil Twitter. Then you have they go to an asteroid market where there's like a festival, and they basically like enjoy the festival, but the sun is evil. Then you have a Cold War era submarine epic. You have a haunted house turned love story. You have a horror thing that goes into a love story. That's a good one. Forget the twist, though, by the time we get there. Then you have they are stuck in the TARDIS, the time machine that's bigger on the inside. I don't remember what they gotta do there, honestly. Then you have, it's like Edwardian times. Hey, remember that red guy that I said?
I do, yeah.
This is that episode. Where, like, like Edwardian, Elizabethan times, whatever. It's the Industrial Revolution, but, like, it's a Sherlock Holmes murder mystery. Then you have alien theme park invaded by robots. And then you have, what's the plot and name of the Doctor again? I think that you have set up for the 50th. Those are all pretty darn different. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, sure. You've got a string of like some sci-fi, but like there's a Western, there's a Victorian, there's an Industrial Revolution, there's a horror story, there's a Cold War epic, there's like some weird cultural event great, shut up about it. It's a good episode. Like this is a weird variety of episodes, season 7. And season 7 isn't even a very good season. It is like probably considered the worst of the 11th Doctor seasons. This is the season where Doctor Who went from a worldwide phenomenon to nobody watched it. That's this season. But it's still... Okay, so maybe you could say that's the problem. But I don't think it's different. Let's go to season 4, one of the most beloved seasons, right? You have the Titanic, but it's in space. You have Partners in Crime, some weird, like, the first 10 minutes of, like, Partners in Crime, there's not a single word of dialogue. That's weird. It's hard to describe that one. Then you have Pompeii. Then you have a sci-fi planet where humanity is slaving a race of aliens. Then you have aliens invade Earth and they turn the cars are bad. They use cars to kill people. Then you have a character centered around the Doctor where, like, they basically get a daughter for an episode. Don't worry about it. Then you have Agatha Christie. Literally just Agatha Christie. Then you have a whole planet that's a library and the shadows will eat you, but also it's the time traveler's wife. Yeah, you remember that. Then you have psychological horror. 2 stories after Agatha Christie. Then you have, this is the one there's Turn Left. You have alternate future where the world goes to shit. Then you have the Daleks, look, they're not, as I said, they're not all going to be like unique as hell. No, actually I lied. You have the MCU before the MCU. That's right. No, this was a big deal. It's just not really that noteworthy anymore. Yeah, no, this is, hey, what if the characters from all our spin-offs got together? Which, at the time, this was before the Avengers. This actually, I think, is 2009. Is that when Iron Man came out? I want
to say that was 13, but that can't be right.
The original Iron Man was 2008. And so Doctor Who had already set up the MCU before the MCU and was now doing the Avengers 1. You see what I mean? Some of those can be the same show. The Library one and the Ood, and a lot of those are Doctor Who plots. They got the Sontarans, you got the Daleks, but they're very different, and like Agatha Christie and psychological horror are both, and the Avengers are both in this season, and those are like some 3. I mean, psychological horror and Agatha Christie aren't like revolutionary ideas, but for a traditionally science fiction show, and for Doctor Who, like, those are interesting. Those are different. Those are special. Also, Unicorn and the Wasp is great. Don't at me. That's one that I think most people say is great, but some people really don't like, and then the majority come and say, "Why the hell do you skip this? I don't understand." It's a great. It's got a big B in it. Look it. See, I knew I would find the B. You can hear the B. It's somewhere in there. I don't know. It's got a big B. And I don't just mean big. I mean flippin' enormous. That's a quote. Yep.
That'll be funny.
It's got a great will. It's got season 4. That's like January, February. Probably January, February. That's got the quote about like Harvey wallbangers and stuff. That's a great scene. Don't worry about it. Who wrote Unicorn and the Wasp? Unicorn. I love slowly going through Unicorn, not the Warp, the Wasp, and let's add Doctor Who at the end of that one.
Yeah, that one.
Gareth Roberts. That's not a Russell T Davies one. But yeah, with Alex slowly going through Doctor Who, they're almost done with season 2. William Hartnell. They were finally saying something where it's like, I don't even remember what we were talking about, where it was like, where the doctors with like unit, is that's what it called? I'm like, good, they're learning. They're picking up all that stuff, and that's one day in like the 11th Doctor, we're gonna hit a turning point where instead of me saying all this random stuff and you're like, what? You'll start bringing up things and I'll be like, yeah, like, it's exactly like that. We'll have more moments like where we were watching season 1. It was like the big climax, and then just randomly you went, yeah, you can skip season 1, just start with season 2. It's like, and then we'll get you into the classics, and then we'll get you into Big Finish.
This is my gateway drug.
What are you going to do at the end of this? We'll have done this every week for like 3 years.
I don't know.
And then you'll want more. And you know what I'll be doing? I'll be going back to William Hartnell. And you'll come.
But then by the time if I go back to Classic Who, I finish that. Okay. Then I have to go into Modern.
Big Finish. Oh well, yeah, that's what I did. Why don't we just keep going? We'll do it again.
It's no problem. It's an infinite cycle.
Now that you have context, let's just do it again. That'll be in like a decade almost, I think. Yeah. It's a lot harder to figure out how long I'll take for Classic Who, because I think I can do a 4-part story every day. Every week. But like they're not all 4 parts. Some of them are longer. How do I break it up? Some of them are dull. Will I even watch all the dull ones? But you want to pitch, right? We've been live for 2 hours now for some reason.
True.
We can't just like call each other whenever, but for some reason we only do it on the internet. We're like the Vlog Brothers. If we did the Vlog Brothers, it would be like 2-hour videos each instead of like 4 minutes. But right, especially in the 60s when there's slow plots, we've watched Doctor Who together, we can talk over it more in the classics. We could just do that. We start like the Reign of Terror or something, then we just talk about whatever, and then every 20 minutes I'm like, oh, it stopped like 5 minutes ago, hang on, let me put the next part on, and then we go on, and that's how we do it.
It's a good system.
Yeah, that's I like it. That's the moment. Classic Who is when we just stop bothering with the episodes. They're technically playing, but it might be fun actually, because I have to kind of restrain myself, especially if you watch the Star Trek we did yesterday, where I'm talking a lot more about like whatever. I try and restrain myself so that you can actually hear the episodes and get what's going on, which I hope is working and you're still following the episodes. But also because I don't just want to like spoil stuff in the future. I know there's some things you've like forgotten about that I try and dance around. Hello 50th. And I don't necessarily want to bleed. I think we talked about The Timeless Child. We did.
A little, yeah.
But you know it. You know the twist. There's a lot I want you to experience. I don't want to like, elevate Heaven Sent on a platform so high it'll never meet those expectations, I don't want to do those sort of things, but it might be interesting to just bleed in and be like, yeah, let's just do it again. Let's just literally loop forever. The Doctor Who is stuck in a time loop. I want change. However, I also want to watch the same thing on loop forever. That's what I did for Star Trek until Alex and I started watching it. Is it's so long that I would just watch it on loop, because by the time I finished the last series, I felt like watching the first one again.
Funny. I mean, that's what I do with.
Yeah.
Go on.
Well, now I try and avoid it because I'm going through with Alex, and I don't want to like watch an episode and then we just watch it together. But at the same time, it's like, man, I'd love to do another like classic Doctor Who watch through, or just like watch the whole thing. And I also don't want to watch it and like spoil stuff for the stream. But like, Alex thinks I joke when I say I hope we've finished Doctor Who before retirement, or that like our kid, who I'd like to point out is not conceived yet, will like the day where me and the kid surpass me and Alex in the watch through. But like I just said, they're almost done with season 2. Almost done with season 2. We started Doctor Who shortly after I got back from college, a little over 2 years ago. Like 2 years and 2 months. Classic Doctor Who is 26 seasons. Now, they aren't all as long as they were in the 60s. The shows do get shorter. However, we also don't have a kid yet. Once we have a kid, Alex is probably going to be watching less Doctor Who. We're going to get busy. It's like, it's going to take decades. And that's for the classics. How long till I can tell Alex about, like, Heaven Sent, or... I've said before, again, I don't want to hype it. Guy, you're going to be so disappointed. I might have you go watch Heaven Sent on your own, and then we do it on the stream.
Yeah.
So I also said before, it's one of those... I like to say Heaven Sent is 2 episodes. There's the episode that you watch the first time. Yep. And then there's the episode that you watch every other time. And they're 2 totally different episodes. But now you remember that, see? So now you're going to be like, actually, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Honestly, if I'm being honest, I feel like it's also kind of predictable. On paper, it really shouldn't work, Heaven Sent. When you start listing its flaws, it really shouldn't work. It just kind of does. Jack's Law 2.0. That's right, Caden. Someone is in the chat 2 hours into this 40-minute watch-along. I did that with Red Dwarf. I have seen that show a million times, just leaving it on a loop. I mean, the nice thing about Doctor Who is there is so much of it, I kind of don't have to rewatch it, because, as I said, I'm going through Gallifrey and the Companion Chronicles on Big Finish. I can tell you how many stories I have. Because Big Finish's new website, which has problems, it does actually just tell you how many stories you have. Actually, sorry, the app does, because last time I checked, the stories don't. How many Big Finish stories do you think I have on Doctor Who? But, well, not technically stories, but like the collections, the things you buy. Oh, I can't put that on your screen. You can see that. Oh yeah, Big Finish's website still doesn't load.
40%.
I don't have it as a percent. 50. Honestly, that might be around right, if I'm being honest. It's 492 titles, which, by the way, is about 200 more than Doctor Who has the show. Off the top of my head. And that's not necessarily stories, because a lot of these are sets of 4 stories. You could literally just keep consuming Doctor Who. It'll never end. One day I'll finish Big Finish, one day, and then I'll start buying like the books off eBay or like old comics. But the downside is that it's like, I kind of feel like I should watch the show and like refresh my memory on some things. And like, they've animated so much of the Second Doctor. I really want to see him in order again. And I mean, it's not like I can't do these things, but it's just the show that goes on forever and ever and ever, but it should end immediately before I die. That's how every fan wants it to go. Forever and ever and ever, but stop right before I die, and then I consume it all, and then I die. That's how it works.
Cross your fingers, yeah.
Yeah. Or just, I mean, ideally, I'd never die and it'd just go on forever. Because,
right.
I'm not some idiot like the Doctor. But does this have the Lazarus experiment? No, that's next season. Don't worry, we're not done with bad episodes of Doctor Who. I mean, we've got Chibnall's whole era, but we got Sleep No More. There's actually, I realized the answer. I was going to say a better question is, when was the last bad episode of Doctor Who? The last episode of Doctor Who. The Legend of Ruby Sunday. What's it? I don't remember. Empire of Death. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
Don't worry, Stephen Moffat's writing the Christmas special. What are the odds that the returning showrunner disappoints after like a triumphant return?
50.
Oh no, that's what happened last time. But he's always been good when he's not in charge. But he also wrote Girl in the Fireplace. But he's got a Boom was so good, Caden.
Yeah, it was. It was really good.
Okay, Doctor Who will survive. But if this Christmas special isn't good, I think the fan base is gonna enter like a rough. Like if Stephen Moffat, this super hyped Christmas special, isn't good, that'll be an oof. They still haven't announced who's writing season 2 though, so hopefully we get some new blood. Actually, looking at it's funny whenever you look, there's almost a joke that like half of Doctor Who is like bad. But when you look at the episode, season 2 is kind of meh. Smith and Jones, that one's pretty good. Shakespeare Code, you know what? That's pretty good. This one was almost an episode about J.K. Rowling. Dodged a bullet there. Thank you, 2007. Although they do still Harry Potter. Actually, no, Gridlock is good. There's the Daleks in Manhattan. What? Hang on a minute. I've just kind of clicked that we also have Weeping Angels in Manhattan. Where's our Cybermen in Manhattan?
His Duke sucks.
Look, come on. We keep repeating the same cuts. There are other cities in... You know what? Let's go to Seattle. That one sounds fun. You know? A West Coast Doctor Who. That could be interesting. You know? Why is it always New York? I mean, it's not, but why is it always New York?
Yeah, it's always New York.
Yeah, we talked about the Florida one. There it is, the Lazarus experiment. You want me to, like, scream for 40 minutes. 42, there's what I think most people consider Chibnall's best episode. Kind of mid. Human Nature, Family of Blood, that's a fascinating one. Oh, Blink. Well, you know. This Blink, I think, is always at, like, the #1 rated episode of Doctor Who on IMDb. To which everyone will say, like, I don't know, but, like, yeah, it is good. And then, of course, these 3, Utopia. Utopia, Sound of Drum. We get to start talking about... Hey, here's the Face of Bow thing I said that was next season. I'll leave it, but there's a lot to start talking about there. All right, I know I haven't made a proper video for a while, but after watching that 3, the set of 3, that might make me make a video idea, a ranking idea.
Exciting.
I'm tossing around. Do I want to make a video where I rank all the Doctors? Except probably 15, because he's just a little too young now.
Yeah.
You know, I don't really got my feel for him. But, like,
It'd be fun.
I don't know. I feel like I could do the Masters better. I don't know. There's a lot. I feel like I'd have to realize if I could do it, I'd have to actually just sit down for one, rank them, but then start writing the script. It's like, the bottom is pretty clear. The top, I probably know the sort of people would go towards the top. The middle's a lot more difficult. And like, can I actually identify and articulate the different Doctors, their differences, and what makes them better well enough? Is it even? I mean, it's all I do is opinions. I do Starship reviews. I do this, like the whole. Someone's still Jack Sly. You still here? It's always said one can grant if you were. Apparently, someone's interested. But it's like, I feel. Well, I would rank the Doctors. It's very much tied to how I'd rank their episodes. and I have some interesting things to say. Like 12, I feel is really interesting. But would it be like, oh well, you put, I don't know, 6 so far down. That's a random number, by the way. 6 would not be that far down on the list. You put like 6 at the bottom, but like that's not because you don't like 6. It's because you don't like his episodes. It's like, well, it's the Doctor is the writing,
Yeah.
that literally they are a character. So it's like, yeah, 13 is spoilers the bottom of the list, and like not because the stories were bad, but also kind of yes because the stories were bad. Like, I don't think I've ever really seen a good Doctor in a bad story. Even, well, I mean, we'll look. That's probably an oversimplification, but let's take, okay, it's a Chibnall example. Don't at me. It's been a while since I've seen these early Who. Okay, season 6, season 5, first try. There were only 3 options, by the way. Hungry Earth, Cold Blood is a really strong one. Spoilers, but if you stuck on this long, this is why. This is a Chris Chibnall story. If it's not 42, this is the best one, is kind of fan convention. It's a retelling of a 70s story. And honestly, the first time I watched this, it was pretty good. Probably like, 15 years ago. It was pretty good. But there were some weird things in it. There were some weird things. I didn't think too much about it because, I was like a young teen, probably a preteen. But it's written by Chris Chibnall, right? And he's since gone on to run the show for 13th Doctor. And he's got a lot of common failings that come up a lot. You might even call them tropes of like his. I mean, if you want to be generous, there are styles of his writing. If you want to be accurate, there are problems of his writing. But suddenly, when you go back to episodes like this, or even Dinosaurs on the Spaceship, what was just weird things that were like kind of weird. And now that, of course, I'm older, and just because of what I do, I think about the shows more. I go, Chris Chibnall wrote this episode. There's a scientist who takes humans down under the earth because that's where like the aliens live, and he like experiments on them live, no anesthetic, because like he's just like the humans aren't even like worth it. We're not even like we're below them.
Naturally.
But like later on, the scientist guy kind of like turns, not really given a reason, but like he's clearly not doing good things and his society is making bad choices. He's got enough reason. But it's never really brought up how like he does this ever again, even by the 2 people in the room who he experimented on live, including the one guy who was down there for days. Everyone's just kind of cool with this and doesn't question it. There's a scene where the Doctor has the companions negotiate with the Silurians in the episode, for like, because they want to live on Earth, and the Doctor's like, hey, like a bunch of places on Earth humans don't live on. Maybe you can work out a deal. So he leaves the 2 companions, because it's the humans, their world, to negotiate. And they're like, what, Doctor, we're not qualified to do this. Like, yeah, you'll be fine. And so they talk about uninhabited places. Like, there's the Sahara, there's the Gobi Desert, the middle of Australia, a lot of deserts, because they're like lizard people. That's, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Let me rephrase that scene a little bit. There's a scene in this episode where 2 random British civilians are negotiating with the Silurians to give away the land of a lot of their former colonies. And a lot of, like, were really marginalized groups who have had, like, horrible histories throughout all of history of being mistreated. Just, like, handing away their land despite not having the authority to do so because, and I quote, nobody lives there. You can kind of... these are the sort of things that were weird, in the middle of Series 5, a really good series. But, otherwise, the story is, like, does a lot of good things. I mean, it's because he's copying the homework of the 70s. But, it does a lot of good things. But suddenly, For Matt Smith, that was weird. He also has some other weird decisions in Dinosaurs on a Spaceship. That doesn't make the 11th Doctor bad, because that's like a weird out-of-character thing. And let's be fair, the thing about giving away land of former colonies, that's not surface level, right? That is something where you can go, I see how you miss this, and I see how, they're humans, the Doctor's not human. They can't exactly bring in, like, the UN. These are probably the most qualified people to do this. Although stop pretending like it's just going to work and you're going to go to Egypt. They're going to be like, yeah, right, we didn't need 90% of our country, But for 13, that's every episode. Suddenly, that is your character, Suddenly, it's not, I see how you could skip this. No, it is still I see how you could miss this. But you also have scenes where, like, the Doctor hands the Nazi who is Indian, not the Nazi, sorry, the Doctor hands the Master over to the Nazis, the Master being Indian, after having beat them so that he'll go to a concentration camp instead of just being, like, arrested and tortured, I guess, and then delivers the line, now we'll see the real you. That's a little harder to see how that one slipped by.
Yeah.
Or the scene where the Doctor tortures someone with, like, their own torture weapon, and then the Doctor, there's two of them in this scene, don't worry about it, the Doctor watches it happen, points, smiles, and goes, now that's what I would do. There's these suddenly stop becoming oddities and start becoming consistent things, And hey, it's not only Chibnall. Kill the Moon isn't written by Chris Chibnall, and that one was accidentally against abortions. That's a whoops.
I remember you talking about that, yeah.
But it is also weird how I'm pretty sure it is the season with Kill the Moon. Hang on, let me actually verify that. Season 8, Kill the Moon. Yes, it is also the season that has Forest of the Night, which is accidentally about, hey kids, don't take your mental health medication because it's bad. I can see how these things slipped by, but they are weirdly close together. You know what I mean? Like, once is okay. It happens. It's 60 years of television. You're accidentally gonna, be against abortion. To be fair, you do kind of have to. It's not surface level in Kill the Moon. It is kind of like, I guess you are right. That is whoops. But man, season 8. Welcome to the season where we start skipping episodes. Not on this watch along. I'm gonna make you watch all of them. But
oh, nice.
Jack Slaw. Look, they are still here. Someone wants it. Well, even in the U.S., if you live in a place no one lives long enough, it just becomes yours. Man, what were we talking about? You're true. That's Squatter's Ramble.
The negotiation of the lizard people.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay, maybe let me retract that's right statement. I don't know. That's a little... See, there's some colonization subtext there. I mean, it's a good premise. This is basically the war... By the way, this is the war between the land and the sea. Like, that's what it's probably going to be about, is they want to live on Earth too. And we're like, yeah. That's the plot.
No, you can't do that.
Hire me. I'm cheap. That's what, yeah. I'll be the first to admit that for all but like 3 of Chris Chibnall episodes, it's like, I couldn't have done better. Like, Chris Chibnall is basically what, like, you would get if I was actually writing, except it's usually a little better. My plots would be logically sound, but by God, would they be dull. They'd be dull rehashes of previous Doctor Who episodes. Why? Because I'm not a writer. The difference between me and Chibnall is that he attempted to showrun Doctor Who. I would go, no. Thank you, but no, I'm not qualified and it would be bad. That's right. 2 hours after the episode, we can start. What I always say are not gonna. The Chibnall era is gonna be interesting, cause like, yeah, we'll shit on it when it's bad, But I do wonder what balance we're gonna kind of fall on. You know what would be the hilarious, subversion is if you actually like this era too.
I love it.
Don't get me wrong. I would love it if you actually, like, unironically really liked this era, because that would mean literally every episode I could sit down with a fan of this era and thoroughly discuss it and dissect it. Oh my god, that sounds so good. That 1,000,000 views right there. If, like, just someone who hates it and someone who loves it and really sit down and go.
I have a friend that
but, like,
started last year going through Doctor Who.
Yeah.
And they were talking to me. They like binged it. And I can tell you that as they got further into the show, they liked it more.
Oh, they liked it. Oh, there we go.
And yeah, they really. They were talking to me.
Is this the one you went to Florida with?
No, this is one of my different friends.
Yeah, well, that's something we could maybe talk about outside the stream. But
and yeah, just fun fact.
But
so
like,
I'll be intrigued to see it.
There is good in especially when we get down to like literally talking scene by scene. It's not like there's nothing I like at that level. And even there are better episodes like Demons of the Punjab and Roba Parks, Roba Parks. It's copyright free. Yeah, Mavity. They go back in time and rename Rosa Parks to Roba Parks. I'm sure there would be no controversy whatsoever in an episode like that. But no, they're like, they still have a lot of problems of the other episodes. But it's also still interesting to look like they're clearly doing something better. So like, why? What? Why is Demons in the Punjab, despite having all the problems of all the other episodes, considered the best and even like really good by even a lot of people who hate this era and recognize the problems in the other ones? Arachnids in the UK has probably got some funny stuff in it. I bet you will never guess what that one's about.
Bears.
No, Donald Trump. It is about spiders in the UK at Trump's hotel. Except it's not Trump, it's someone else. I don't know his name. Neither do you, though.
Some guy. Yeah, that's true.
Nope. No one knows his name. Jack Rant? Is it Jack Rance? Jack Rance? Doctor Who Trump Man. This is going to work. Well, okay, maybe the internet won't work. Yep. Maybe it's fiber. Donald Trump. Doctor Who Trump Man. Okay, this isn't... Jack Robertson! See? There it is! Wow. No, there it is! Jack Robertson. I told you it was gonna work.
That's funny.
Yeah. There'll be stuff to care of. I mean, I just knowing you, I don't think you'll like it, right? You didn't like the Beatles dog song. This is like the... No, that's unfair to the Beatles dog song. By the way, I found someone, okay, on Doctor Who Reddit. I don't know why they posted a Doctor Who Reddit, who posted a clip of the dog song asking, is this a real Beatles song? I've never heard of it. Then edit, like a link to a webpage, edit, read the rest of the page, found out it's not. So you made fun of that song so hard. No, it could have been a Beatles song, quite clearly.
It sucked, but the Beatles were weird now and again.
I don't know enough Beatles song, honestly, but I liked it. I like the beat. You're telling, like, Yellow Submarine, I Got a Dog, He's Called Fred. It's early Beatles. It's their first album. Bear that one in mind. Hey, Nikola Tesla's Niatera. You know what? That's probably the best episode of the era. How unfortunate. Caden, we get Orphan 55.
Ooh, 55 orphans. It's just the right amount.
That's, you know what? 55 orphans is better than this episode. Wow. This is why we can't go this long. This is why this is crazy. That's crazy. Is that what the Doctor Who show is teaching us now? Oh, did you just get to like the abortion part? Dang, I need to write down. I need a log of what I'm saying.
You gotta figure out your delay.
God, what were we saying? It's not that long, but I think depending on who you are, it might be further back. Because I can see the delay, like, on my stream. But it's these things are weird. Actually, I might have high latency on. Back when I was having internet problem. No, it's normal. It's normal latency. But I think at best you'll be like lukewarm. Also you'll be watching it with me, so that'll help. Whereas like if you're just an adult episode, I'm sitting there like literally falling asleep for the battle of Ranskor. Okay, you want to know a thing about Chibnall? You see this battle, this episode here, the Battle of Ranskor Av Kolos. This one's a first draft, but actually, like Chris Chibnall has gone up say, "Yeah, I ran out of time. That's a first draft."
That's really funny.
It can't be the only one. This is again that Fourth Doctor 4-hour video I posted in the chat is great. Like it's not entirely Chibnall's fault that he ran out of time. Like he literally has to approve like every decision. That we need more than one head. We need two people at least in charge of Doctor Who. We need like a script guy and a showrunner like we used to. But yeah, but there are okay. My favorite, this one, Legend of the Sea Devils. That's right, they're in the spin-off show. This is one of the most fascinating episodes of television I've ever seen. It's bad. It's basically universally considered the worst of these 3 specials on screen. But The Legend of the Sea Devils, when you're making probably more a movie than a show, and you do storyboarding, where like you kind of draw out, you write the basic plot, and you probably have things where like, your characters are like motivated to like do something, or they go here for this reason, but like we haven't written it yet. It doesn't really matter. We'll figure it out later. You write a MacGuffin. It's like they want the magic gem. That's what they want. Replace later. It doesn't really matter what it is for the story. At least not at this part. What if, right? You stopped at that step. And then you fully produce. Everyone else was like all the way. The costuming, the wardrobe, the department, the filming, the cinematography, the lighting. Everyone was like full on, modern day movie budget. Looks great. But it was a storyboard that you never developed. They literally are after a magic gem in this episode, I'm pretty sure. It's never established why they really want the magic gem. There's a sea monster that's there and then just kind of isn't there anymore. I think the plot is that they want to drain the oceans so the magnetic field of the Earth will flip or something like that. That doesn't make sense. It's a fascinating, because I'm like, it's not done, but like it is. Take a look at this episode. Right?
Is this? I remember you showed me one with.
It looks good. The lighting's good. The costume. I mean, okay, this pirate costume looks like a costume. It actually is supposed to be a cheap Halloween pirate costume. So don't look at that one. But like, it looks good. It's shot well. Like, look at this set. This is really good.
Yeah.
But like, it doesn't. It's not. It's a storyboard. It's not done. And it was so fascinating to watch. Like, you know what I mean? You just don't see that. Usually people finish their stories, but like, what if you didn't? This is what I want. See, a totally out there episode. Unironically, actually, I probably enjoyed that one like maybe more than the other 2, just because for all the wrong reasons, I was absolutely gripped and like just. I can honestly say I have never been more fascinated consistently watching anything than Legend of the Sea Devils in the worst possible
compliment,
ways.
I guess, in a sense.
It's not. It's real. I mean, if you're the kind of person who says the sole purpose of any art is to invoke an emotion, then yes, it was great. But no, only like snooty art people say that.
Yeah.
But yeah, 3 years, if you're excited. I mean, we'll be pushed back a little bit from, new Doctor Who. If we do the spin-offs, that's going to push us back 5 weeks for, God, why is it? How do you even shorten the title? War Between the Land and the Sea. Land, sea, long word. It is literally mostly the word the. The and take up more than the other words. It's so bad. How
Hopefully
that's the thing
they
you
swoop
write
in and
down is
change it.
like your temp filler title, and then you spend the whole night thinking about how bad it is, and then you get back to work the next day and write something bad. You just replace it with the words to do. Doctor Who spin-off 1. Like, that's what you write because you're just ashamed of your temporary title. Shark Tank. I don't know if that's an episode pitch, but I am down for some reason the Doctor has to compete in a Shark Tank like show. You know, the investor one where the people pitch the inventions. And he's the Doctor. So he's got like fantastical inventions, but they look like really wacky or something. He's like,
hate him.
like every one of them would change the world, but the investors aren't biting because he's just a weird dude. But like, these other contestants come up with the equivalent of like a baking soda volcano, and they get like millions of dollars. And the whole episode is like just the cold open is the Doctor's like pitching his invention. He gets rejected. Title sequence, right? And then like you maybe have a little thing explaining why they need to win this. Maybe you learn it over time. But like it's 40 minutes of that. And like you can have funny pitches, you can have serious. See, this is what I want. This is what you get the new blood in and come up with. Like, it's just Shark Tank. That's such.
You can't be a writer, but you can be the idea.
Fun. Well, yeah, anyone's an idea guy. Chibnall was an ideas guy. His era's full of fantastic ideas that weren't explored. Like, you know, there's a positive thing about Chibnall. He's got loads of great ideas. He just doesn't. Like, if I wrote this episode, it'd be awful because I'm not a writer. But I want Shark Tank episode.
Funny.
Like, what else could you get? Is there like a weird one you'd want to see that's just, I want nonsense like that.
My go-to real Doctor Who idea is that, but I'm pretty sure that you talked about this sort of in like, I don't know, Journey of the Center of the TARDIS or something, but I want a whole episode where they explore more rooms in the TARDIS. I just feel like that'd be so cool.
I think we can do it better.
Doctor Who idea. Like I think they could make a great one.
I think we've done this 3 times. The first in Invasion of Time, we don't talk about it. Imagine a disused 1970s British hospital, and now forget that that's what the inside of the TARDIS looks like. That's the first time you see it in Classic Who, by the way. As I mentioned, the Doctor's wife, but it's just like some boring corridors that feel so barren and not like a home, but not even like a spaceship you'd want to be in. And Journey to the Center of the TARDIS, which it was Peter Capaldi's TARDIS, which is lovely, but before they made it good. So I want to do the concept right. I feel like there's untapped ground there.
Yeah.
But I know one I read where this isn't mine. This comes from JXC and Stu. They wrote 2 seasons of Doctor Who with like their own doctor, Alan Rickman. It has a lot of great ideas. They had one where the Doctor wants to see some like cosmic event, right? So he just lands on like a hill in a planet, right? And then it's not there. He's like, oh, I must be like too early. You know, I'll try and find it. And so he dematerializes and just like materializes like 100 years later, right? And he looks up and he's still not there. And he like does this a few times, you know, the companion's like annoyed or whatever. And then finally they like land and he looks out and they see it because they're looking at the sky. He's like, right, fine, we can go out. And then he opens the TARDIS door and like there's a crowd of people who are all like bent down, like surrounding the TARDIS on their knees, and like the TARDIS is in a temple that's been built around it because the native population of this planet noticed the TARDIS, this just magic box that appears every 100 years, and they've basically formed a religion around it, and it's like a pilgrimage to Mecca, basically, just like once in a lifetime to see the box. I think the episode title they pitched was Pull to Open, and like he steps out and they start chanting the prayer, which is just the text on like the sign of the police box. It's like assistance at all time, respond to all calls, public police pull to open. Like they're like mystical prayer is just the text on the police box.
That's funny.
It's like that's the start of the episode. It's like the docs, that's you could do a lot of weird, crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And if you want weird, crazy stuff, early Big Finish. I'm just saying. Oh, early Big Finish. There's a generation of fans who got to be in charge of the show without the restrictions of like BBC sensibilities, getting to just spit out 4 decades of ideas. Brilliant. You want a Nor detective who's a shape-shifting penguin? Bam, we got him. That's from the comics.
I want it. But once we get to the Dark Ages and every episode is a slog, that's when you have to swoop in.
That's when I swoop in with Big Finish.
Yeah.
By that time, the 13th Doctor will have Big Finish stories. There's a thing. So actually, that will be interesting. Because Big Finish basically fixed the 6th Doctor. He's a spiky, unpleasant man with bad stories is kind of the general narrative. And then Big Finish took him and goes, okay, let's do your same character. You're still like a spiky man who's like sarcastic and pompous, but like let's actually write you well, and let's actually give you a companion who's a old lady who can stand up to you and like put you in your place, and let's give you great stories. And he became like one of the best incarnations ever. He's the same character. He's just written well. Jodie isn't going to get that because Big Finish isn't what it was 30 years ago. But we get to see her, especially with Modern Who. They are a lot safer. But we'll get to see her separated from the problems of the Chris Chibnall era. And so we'll really kind of get to see her Doctor. And maybe they'll surprise us. Maybe they put like an amazing writer who's going to totally revolutionize like the 13th Doctor. But we can have more informed opinions. Because I think basically no one blames Jodie for her Doctor's reputation. She's happy with her Doctor. Like, she's happy with what they did. But there are a lot of people who are still like, I don't know if Jodie is really the Doctor or was a good cast. Like, is the problem Chris Chibnall? Or is the problem Chris Chibnall and Jodie was miscast? And we should have that answered soon. Well, yeah, I'm genuinely looking forward to 13th Doctor Big Finish. I'd love to see her because she never really became the Doctor for me. She doesn't really have like a moment or the time. She never really steps into it like all the other incarnations for me. And so give her that moment for me, or let me see her. Let me, like, maybe it's also just preconceptions about her era affecting me, but whatever. Here's one from Jack's Law. Let me find the start of the story. Jack's Law, this kind of sounds like Journey to the Center of the TARDIS again. It's about how its own time slips and they run into themselves from all time. So like their time, actually I see where you're going. So like time basically shatters. And so there's like a lot of the Doctor and the companion at different moments in solving the problem that keep running into each other. That's a hard one to write, but that's cool. Star Trek has done some vaguely similar stories, but not the same as well. And that, of course, you got these 2 massive fan base. You can draw those ties, but they're different enough. That's the important thing. The next episode, we literally just get a werewolf. So yeah, that's the episode. Werewolf. Bam. Werewolf. Spoilers. I'm probably running out of stuff to say on the stream as we approach the 3-hour mark of our 45. I'd be fun to keep checking, adding the runtime of the stream and seeing at what point we could have finished Doctor Who. But 3 hours, we could have done what, like 5 or 6 stories? Not that, like 4 or 5. We could be halfway through this season, maybe. That's Legend of the
I'm
Sea.
gonna have to scram soon, as it is almost 6 my time, and I need.
Oh yeah, no, there you go.
food.
You finally put a cap on these streams because you're in Eastern time. There's stuff I gotta do today. So yeah, I think I will go ahead and wrap it up. Next week we got Tooth and Claw because we're good for like the foreseeable future. I've got nothing in the calendar till like there's like 1 week in September I can't do. But I will say thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Bye bye.
Still after me and not with me.
It's